And blessed to be with you here. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio from the Idaho College of Osteopathic Medicine. And, we're just blessed to Cap-Ed Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. Coming up, we're going to take a look at the cost of living here in the Treasure Valley. The boom could be over because of education. We'll give you the story there, plus your ability to respond to it at 580-5436-580-KIDO. And much to my personal disappointment, today is the last day for your opportunity to win up to $5,000 on KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller's Cash, our 6 a.m. cash code word is bill. You must pay your bill. And if you're wondering how to spell bill, B-I-L-L. Go to KIDOTalkRadio.com right now and type in the code word bill, and you could win up to $5,000. Remember, bill, if you have the more words you have, the greater your chances are to win on KIDO Talk Radio. We are here at ICOM. Oz Nakayama joining us. You are a student here. You practically live here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for letting me come on your talk radio show.
Well, tell us a little bit about your love of medicine and what has brought you here to Meridian, Idaho.
Medicine has been a big part of my life for decades, probably, at least 2, because that's how old I am. But I have spent so much of my life studying medicine and science and anatomy, and I found out probably in high school that I wanted to study medicine, and then it kind of went in a lot of different paths. I did engineering for my graduate work. I did biochemistry for my undergraduate work, and using science and using my passion for service has just been the greatest path that I've seen myself taking, and I found medicine and medical school to be the best way for me to use that and use that to the greatest potential.
So of all the choices for medical school, you've chosen to come here. Why?
I found, actually, when I was in Africa, from a friend, that a school was opening in Idaho. And when I was applying, I probably applied to more schools than I can count across the country. And I came to visit her when I came for my interview and fell in love with Boise. It's an incredible city, and it's so different from where I'm from, which is Alabama. And I just have great appreciation for the outdoors and all that Idaho has to offer. I had family that grew up and lived in Moscow, and so always heard great things about Idaho, and I just love it here. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful city.
As I'm trying to keep up with you, Alabama, Africa, Idaho, Moscow. It's quite a bit.
Yes, we got a lot of different places, a lot of different people all over the place. I'm primarily from the South, but I love to travel. I love to be everywhere, see everything, see new cultures, be new places. So coming to Boise and Idaho for medical school was super exciting for me because I love to be in new places.
What can you share with us about your experience in Africa that will translate to you as a physician later in life?
So being in Africa was like an incredible opportunity because I went with a group of biomedical engineers to work in hospitals to fix medical equipment. And so being able to utilize those experiences, see that healthcare, see how medicine works over there is such a unique opportunity because it allows you to appreciate what we have here, but also to understand how to just be a person and a physician to patients and to just the individual that's in need of medicine. It gives you a really great compassion, a really great sense of service, and so much more appreciation for what medicine is truly capable of doing.
At KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, we, again, serve the Treasure Valley, and we have a lot of misconceptions. In fact, we were having a coaching session earlier about misconceptions. What's the biggest misconception that most of us will have about Africa?
Probably the biggest misconception that most people have about Africa is that it's just a barren wasteland. There are a lot of areas that struggle with resources. I think that's probably one of the truest, biggest things that people see. But there are a lot of places that have what the necessary means to get by. It's just different from what we're used to here. It's not that people just slum on the streets. It's it looks different from how we live in America. We're fortunate to have a running toilet. We're fortunate to have food that we can walk down the street and go get. But that just looks different than how we run things, how we live in America versus how they live in Africa.
When we take a look at your time in Africa, fixing the equipment, what was the technological infrastructure like compared to, let's say, ICOM?
Compared to ICOM, it's several steps behind. The areas that I worked in didn't have access to the latest and greatest technology. Generally, it was a few generations behind where we are, because a lot of the equipment that I worked with in hospitals was equipment that was sent over on a shipping container and donated to hospitals. And so you're using suction pumps, and you're using older generations of anesthesia machines or incubators for new infants. And so that equipment is not up to the same levels that we have here, and you don't have central lines in the wall for oxygen or nitrogen or anything like that, and so those equipment, you have to go back into your catalog and catalogs and databases to try and find the blueprints and the manuals to try and fix those things.
Did it teach you how to work with limitations?
Definitely. You really get crafty, and you really try to MacGyver different things and learn how to use what you have at hand, and in a pretty efficient manner. Someone will walk out of the operating room and say, the suction pump's not working, and you gotta be quick and ready.
Well, no, here at KIDO Talk Radio, when you're saying the suction pump isn't working in an operating room, like I said, most of us, and this is a dated reference, but we're a dated show, think of George Clooney in ER, or watch it on Hulu, or all these unrealistic things. Thankfully, we, that's why you guys are the doctors and such. But how significant is that when the suction pump goes out in an operating room?
That is probably an extremely crucial piece of the surgery and of the operation. And so they walk out, and they probably have maybe a few suction pumps for the whole hospital, and then the one in the operating room goes out. That's something that you're using to remove excess fluids, clear the field of the surgery, and so not having that for an operation is going to be pretty detrimental. So you got to work fast, you got to understand what's going on, and you got to be pretty crafty in fixing that.
Indeed. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. We're at ICOM, the Idaho College of Osteopathic Medicine. Oz Nakayama with us, a student here who has been sharing his experience before he got to ICOM and about being a physician, being a doctor. Why help people? You have such an extreme technical background, and yet you've got to have that bedside manner, melding those two worlds. Is that usually somebody who's really good at one thing, maybe not so good at another? How do you convey that bedside manner? What do you see yourself doing once you graduate?
I think it kind of depends on your life experiences for how that bedside manner goes for you. I can't speak for everyone, but for my personal experiences, I've been fortunate to have a variety of different experiences in my life. My mother raised me very well, and I think I get a lot of that from her. She has always been an incredibly caring person, and so I've always known that I want to utilize my caring nature and my passion for service. And when having a passion for medicine and technology and science, I found that medicine and medical school is one of the greatest opportunities that I can utilize that.
Tell us a little bit about ICOM, your day.
ICOM, average day is generally pretty early. I'm probably one of the outliers. I like to get to school a little earlier than most and try and get some studying in before class. And
earlier than most, people get here fairly early.
Class starts about 8. Most people probably get here about 7:30. And I'm just an early bird, and I tend to enjoy the mornings. So I'll go to the gym and then come to school and enjoy classes, and then I've gotten better about staying super late and actually living here at school.
Right.
But I spend a good chunk of the afternoon, and then we'll probably head home and go to bed. And that's pretty much an average day.
Right. When you're not consumed by what you want to become and what you're doing, what are you doing?
I really enjoy running, so I like to run on the average day or go to the gym. A lot of times, some
That
friends.
sounds so normal compared to what you're doing and what you've done.
It does. It sounds like a standard life, just going to school, going for a run, going to the gym. But we try to have fun. We'll go out and we'll go, go get lunch at the village, or try and do something that seems a little less like our lives are consumed by school and studying.
Sure. What about the camaraderie here?
I think it's really, really unique. Most medical schools that I always heard of, it was super incredibly competitive and just so stressful and strenuous. And now coming here and seeing that we're the first class, and how passionate everyone is about just helping each other, sharing resources and helping studying and practicing, and people will drop what they're doing and help you learn something, or go practice in the lab, or go to the anatomy lab together, and it's a really
Go to the anatomy lab together.
Oh yeah, you just say I'm really struggling with this. Let's go look at the cadavers for a little bit.
Sure.
And that
Sounds like a good time.
Oh yeah, it is. You'd be surprised.
Any final thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
I am just incredibly grateful to be here at ICOM. I have long dreamed for a day when I can be a medical school, and it's what I've always wanted it to be. It's not a walk in the park every day, but it is something that I know that I want to do, and I've dreamt for a long time of being here, and I'm just super incredibly grateful and very excited.
Oz, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up, Boise, the Treasure Valley is growing, but that might be over. Give you the details next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And blessed to be with you, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And, we were talking a little bit about growth, and we've talked about growth for quite some time, right? And growth is such a pain because we have so many people moving in. We have property taxes going up. By the way, did you get your property tax bill yet? Always a wonderful thing to get in the mail. And as we drive in on the connector, or we're traveling on Chinden, or wherever, look, even cul-de-sacs are busy now. Can you believe that? Well, as we first told you yesterday here on KIDO Talk Radio, there's a report from the Brookings Institute that says we're not investing enough money in our schools. That's right. Quote, the education system in Idaho hasn't kept up with the human capital demands of local industry. And here's the skinny. The authors note that Micron has decided to build a $3 billion plant in Virginia. What's really good about Virginia? Is there anything great about east of the Great River? Okay, pandering to you a little, but 1,000 jobs going to Virginia instead of the home country here in Idaho. Now, they don't directly say there's a link between Micron's decision to go to Virginia and our education system, but the implication is clear. According to the Brookings Institute, I'd ask the Brookings Institute if they've ever been to Idaho. And maybe, again, an oversimplification, maybe we put a stopgap on growth. Maybe we say to ourselves, quit putting those ads in those California magazines that I have been alerted to saying, come live in paradise, known as Eagle, Idaho. Now, Eagle, Idaho is a great place. But on the other hand, Eagle Road, not so much. Mark in Eagle, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Thanks for the opening on that one, Kevin, here at KIDO. I'm going to give you a little story, and I hope I have enough time to say what I need to say here, because a lot of people feel the same way here, including you. We had a home in California that we sold at it was like $229,000. We lost about $20,000 on this thing just to get out of the liberal socialist overtaxation in California. The same house now, when you look online at Zillow or Twillo, $750,000. Wages here have not even gone up anywhere near compared to what our property taxes are. I just got my bill. It's over 20% again increase from the year before, which went up about 20-something% from the year before that. People come here from California, they're overpriced, overtaxed West Coast, East Coast cities with a fistful of money in there to buy a house in cash straight out. And if they watch how they spend their money, they could probably live for the next 10 or more years off that extra cash that they've got. Now, it's totally unfair for people who have been living here like us for 24 years in the same house to get basically taxed out of your home. My wages as a self-employed person has not increased over that 24 years. If anything, it has gone down quite a bit.
Now wait a minute, Mark. I'm sure you've gotten a ton of mail from realtors saying, hey, time to sell your house. It's gone up in value, of course. Where are you going
Kevin,
to live?
And where do you go from there? I don't want to have to be taxed out of my home with my wife and I having to move out to the boonies to live in some place that doesn't have the same things that I've had when I first moved here 24 years ago, just to be able to pay lower property taxes till that area decides to get overly built. You know, our roads do not, this bit with growth is just insane. All the people like Tammy DeWeerd, the mayors around here in these different cities who embrace and love this growth, we get all of our farm fields destroyed just so you can throw in a bunch of tract homes and condos, townhouses, whatever. The roads are overcrowded. They don't handle it. Where is one of my tax bills, I looked at one of my property tax bills from 10 years ago. I was paying about $900 and some odd a year for my taxes. Now mine will be going up for this next year, for this 2019. It'll be going up to about $2,300 and change for this house.
Now wait a minute. Hold on. Let me get this straight here. So Mark, your tax bill has gone from $900
a year, a little over $900 in 10 years.
And
that's over a 10-year period. Over a 10-year period, Kevin. And so basically, I'm still in the same house. The wages in this valley do not keep up to what's going on here. So where I'm saying, and I don't begrudge, I came from California. A lot of people in the valley, my customers come from California or other West Coast cities. It's good for them. But the problem is they can leave their liberalism behind, though. We don't need you here, people. All you liberals out there come here want to change as to what you move from. Why in the hell did you come here, pardon my French, in the first place?
Mark, that's a great point. Thank you for the call. KIDO Talk Radio. Traffic and weather together. I like that. Libs, don't come here. But this land is your land. This land is my land. Conflicting messages here this morning. Good morning, Dave. Phone number's here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So again, the Brookings Institute says that, well, the Treasure Valley is not doing enough to keep people here. As we continue to take your calls about this, here's another thought concerning the Idaho education system. Since 2010, Idaho has been chasing its 60% goal, hoping to persuade young adults to obtain a college degree or a professional certification. Where are we? Only 42%. Apparently, we've made little progress towards 60% of folks getting that degree or certification. People across the country say there's not enough high-tech jobs, high-tech communities to warrant high-tech businesses coming here and staying here. Well, tell that to the people that home commute. I think the greater question is where is the plan to deal with all this growth? Now, for the sake of entertainment, and we always say this program, it changes lives, it makes a difference, and we're so grateful for the opportunity. Could be our last opportunity. You never know when it's time to go, and that's why I always say that to you here. But our last opportunity to say to lawmakers, to say to folks, what about this congestion? And yes, jokingly, we could say build a wall or stay out, but people are going to come here, good people. People that we want for neighbors, people that we want to build and to expand on our great community that we have here, right? I mean, remember the first time that you met somebody from Idaho? What type of experience was that for you? How did that make you feel? For me, it was like a warm welcome hug, not a unwelcomed hug that you don't want, from that, kind of person that is indescribable, but a warm hug. And Idaho ruins people in a good way. I find myself, and again, as many of you may know, I'm not Mr. Friendly. Kind of like that crazy uncle upstairs, right? And all of a sudden, I find myself whenever I'm in an airplane, and maybe this works for you, you say hi to people because we're used to that here. But with the congestion, with the crazy drivers, with the unplanned growth, these issues are going to continue to haunt us until we find a solution. Putting money in more schools, I don't know if we can catch up. That's where you come in. Let's talk about it next. I'd love to hear from you. You can always join the conversation now at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Maggie. And once again, back at ICOM, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Elijah Van Gardner joining us, an ICOM student. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Medicine, why is it so important to you?
Oh, this has been the dream, really, ever since I can remember. I was always that weird kid growing up who brought anatomy books to school. Usually got them taken away from the professors just because, it shows full human anatomy. So it's always been a real interest of mine to pursue medicine. And now that I'm here, it really is kind of making the dream come true.
Share with us the experience of being at ICOM.
Oh, it's fantastic. I've never been in such a community that cares so deeply about my education. Everyone here really is rooting for me to succeed. My professors, just the amount of time that they take outside of classroom really shows that they care not only about me and my class, but really creating physicians who are going to stick around and care.
Medicine can be so intimidating to most of us. You probably wouldn't catch 99% of the audience with the anatomy and physiology books or having them taken away as you did as a young man. Can you tear down that wall a little of the intimidation? No one seems to be happy, Elijah, to go to the doctor or in the waiting room, and yet this is your life, your livelihood, your passion.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people go into medicine for different reasons. Something that I want to do is I want to care for acutely ill people. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that people's worst times in the hospital are made better. So something little that I can do to make really some of the most traumatic time for people more bearable and leave, with a good note. So it's hard because I know growing up I didn't really enjoy going to the doctor either, even though I wanted to be one. But once you understand that these people are here to help you, and once you come educated and come with your own questions and take healthcare and health into your own hands, it really is almost a partnership. You get to work with people to see them succeed and get better.
Now, what's it like for you to go to the doctor now? Do you enjoy that? Or are you trying to figure out if they know their stuff?
I'm sure I'm a pretty annoying patient now. I ask more questions than they probably have time for. And it really is almost a learning experience for me. I feel like I'm back in a classroom talking with one of my professors, sometimes more than what I actually go in for.
When we take a look at the technology here, it's state-of-the-art, world-class. Can you share with us some of the advantages that ICOM has here, being so immersed in technology?
Yeah, absolutely. One example that I can think of is we have these high-fidelity mannequins that act out, they bleed, they sweat, and we're interacting with these mannequins in clinical scenarios. So we're using real defibrillators on them, and when they are crashing, when they're going downhill, it feels real. Our adrenaline starts pumping, and we have to learn how to act fast. And with the guidance of our professors, we really are learning how to treat people and really perform some of these medical techniques under pressure. And it really does feel real. And that's just one of the technological advantages that we have here, a really fully, beautifully designed laboratory for our sims.
Sweaty mannequins.
Yes, sweaty mannequins that bleed.
KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning, promoting our schools, securing our future. When we look at what has driven you, was there experience in life that drove you to medicine, or has this always been your calling?
Yeah, there's never really been any physicians in my family. Always been something that's interested me. And wanting to help people. I was always very involved in community service, and I think that's really one of the key features of being a physician, is being a big part of your community, giving back, and this is the way that I know how to do it. So,
why here?
Why here? Mm-hmm. When I came here and interviewed here, it really felt like home. Some of the other places I interviewed, it was a little colder, not weather-wise, but in terms of the people that I met here, it was just very accepting. It was very familial. It almost felt like this is where I was supposed to be.
Now, are you from Idaho?
I'm not. I'm a little from a little north of San Francisco. And when I came to Boise, it really was an area that I could see myself living. And it's been nothing but exceeding my expectations since I've been here.
Can you describe the allure of Idaho to people from California?
Yeah.
And obviously, Elijah, you, because of ICOM and everything else, but there seems to be just this pull to to Idaho from from California.
Yeah, this area, this Treasure Valley, is really a fantastic, small yet large community. And I say that coming from California, it really does feel like a small, big town, which I really like. It's never too congested. People are friendly on the streets. You have an abundance of good places to eat, to drink, coffee shops, outdoors. It's incredible. It kind of feels like you're almost in a little resort town, but this is your life.
It is, and your life will be about medicine, about service. What can you describe for us the path, high school, college here? That's a lot of time in academia. That's a lot of deferred gratification, if you will.
Yeah, and that's something that I really knew that I wanted. I always wanted to go back to an academic setting. Growing up, my father was a college professor, so being around academia is something that has really been in my life for a long time. And then knowing that it's about giving back and contributing to the field that you're studying is also a big reason why I'm here.
When we take a look at the future of medicine, we always, we're technology. We've got phones that can do this, watches that can tell you how to do this, alternatives to invasive procedures. Is that part of your curriculum here, keeping up with, the latest thing that may not appear for 5 or 6 years in mainstream hospitals?
Yeah, and it's really interesting. A lot of our professors who have been practicing medicine for 20 years will talk about how the procedure for treating heart attacks has changed about 7 times in their career of medicine. So they're making sure that they're up to date because they're still practicing physicians, and they're teaching us the latest and greatest advances in some of these knowledge gaps and really fill in those.
And when you get a chance to speak with these practicing physicians that perform on people, not the mannequins, how does that enhance your educational experience?
Well, a lot of people don't really have the opportunity to talk to physicians unless you're going in for, a 15-minute once a year.
And it is 15 minutes.
It is. But it's really about making those 15 minutes matter and making sure that you're making the patient feel like they matter and that it really is more of a partnership rather than a checklist or one of the 20 people that you're seeing that day. There's really, in that 15 minutes, we've learned here through some of our classes that there is time to make sure that people are feeling heard and that their concerns are well understood.
Now, you're from the Bay Area. I'm sure there are a lot of hospitals there, right?
Yeah.
We like to call it the medical industrial complex. Not to your face, but when you're not around, Elijah. But how do we compare medically? We've got St. Luke's, St. Al's, Salzer, Treasure Valley Hospital, West Valley. Do you think that we have enough medical facilities, enough hospitals for our population? It seems primary care, with our friend Jeremy, it just seems that we have a lot of medical. Is that the future of America, do you think? As someone who is, this is the rest of your life, this is going to be your field, are we going to have more and more medical pre-op, post-op, preventative care things?
I certainly hope so. I'm a big proponent of preventative medicine, and something that I like really about here rather than Northern California where I grew up is Northern California, it's hospital after hospital, big office building after office building. Here you have some of the big hospitals, but you also just have a general feeling of health and wellness in this community, not only like the downtown area with all of some of the healthy options that you have, but really the outdoor living vibe. Everything here really shows that this is a community that cares about health, which is really nice. And I hope that preventative health is something that people here continue to care about.
Yes. What would you say to people, the value of preventative health? Taking a walk or, having oatmeal, steel-cut oatmeal as opposed to an Egg McMuffin.
It's all about the healthy choices and anything that you can do to better prepare yourself. Really, it's your life. You only have one of them. If you're doing things that are going to help you, I think that's one of the best investments that you can make.
Elijah, we appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining us. Anything else that you'd like to share with us today?
No, thank you so much for having me. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you, and we'll continue to follow your adventures.
All right. Take care.
You too. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Amazon, they're everywhere. They're even sponsoring Garth Brooks in Boise. Now, they're coming after your phones.
Amazon has apparently expressed interest in buying Boost Mobile from Sprint. The sale's been discussed as a way to satisfy regulators who are considering Sprint's merger with T-Mobile. Reuters says sources close to the talk say a deal would also allow Amazon to use T-Mobile's wireless network for at least 6 years. Amazon already offers phone calls through its Echo Connect service, which uses your home phone service and an Alexa device. None of the parties is confirming Reuters' report. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
Can you imagine Amazon having access to a phone company? My goodness gracious. Let's go to R&R, who joins us now. R&R, thank you for your patience. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning. Hello, R&R.
You sitting there giving them a show with that camera right off your screen and hollering about Mueller, and then having Amazon's going to creep in till they blah, 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 blah. But here's what my talking point is. You are the jester of the mountain people, and you're the voice of reason, and we all adore you. And I'm certain your mom's listening, but I'm pretty certain your father's just busting the buttons on his vest for pride. You are a saint. St. Kevin, you and St. Peter. I want to talk about our commander-in-chief and his son Eric, and I'm certain, as Kavanaugh uses the word certain, that when history is written, our borders will never fall. As I understand it, 422 miles of wall have been completed while people are watching the left hand, the right hand of the Guatemalans and the Hondurans. They know how to build block. Their ancestors built the Great Pyramids. Now, I rest assured that my great-grandkids will have a country to salute the flag of the United States of America, and my Savior and I and you are all safe in the Intermountain.
Well, that's why I appreciate you calling me Saint Kevin.
You're welcome. I'm a Latter-day Saint than you. I love you, bud.
I love you, and thank you for always talking about my dad. I know he's listening, and he appreciates that. So, Arnar, I've got to run, but God bless.
Bye-bye. You too.
We go to Rachel Sutherland joining us now, Fox News Radio on Capitol Hill, exclusively in the Treasure Valley on KIDO Talk Radio. Rachel, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
So here we have it, Robert Mueller, Part 75. We just can't get enough of him.
Oh, we can't. Well, I think the latest thing on this is that the Attorney General, William Barr, has been making comments about Mueller's statement this week. He was on CBS last night and this morning, saying that he believes that that Mueller could have reached a conclusion on obstruction of justice, despite the longstanding policy that a sitting U.S. president cannot be indicted. He really wouldn't go into detail about what he believes Mueller's thinking was. And he also said that because he didn't reach a conclusion, that both he and then Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein really felt like they needed to make a determination.
Yeah, this story is trending, up at the top here, where you have the Attorney General saying, look, Robert Mueller, you could have made a determination. It's fascinating because these men have known each other for years. And, Rachel, as you've described, and we can go back to Barr's testimony, he's not really impressed. He just looks at Mueller like a colleague. Well, he was a political appointee like me, and I don't know why he sent a letter. He should have just called. I don't know why Bob just didn't call me. Just very matter of fact, I don't know if we've seen someone like Mr. Barr in quite some time in Washington.
No, he's definitely an interesting figure. He keeps a low profile, but he also is firm about what he believes. I mean, he hasn't shied away from using the spying word. He hasn't shied away from launching these investigations into the beginning of the Russia probe. He's come under a lot of heat, though. I mean, a lot of Democrats have accused him of spinning the Mueller report, and people are questioning, well, why didn't Mueller come out and do what he did this week 2 months ago and do it that way? But that's not the way that things were done for whatever reason. So certainly Barr is no stranger to criticism. He seems to be able to handle it well. He doesn't seem to get ruffled very easily. So I guess moving forward, the question is going to be, what are Democrats going to do with the information? And right now it appears that they're still pretty divided on any kind of path on moving forward.
Rachel, will Robert Mueller testify before Congress? Do you believe that they will bring him in regardless of whether he wants to testify or not?
There's really no indication right now of any kind of subpoena going out. But keep in mind, Congress is out of session. They'll be back next week. But both Nancy Pelosi and House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler have spoken publicly, and they haven't said, hey, we're going to issue a subpoena for Robert Mueller. He's indicated that even if he is kind of forced to testify, that he would just come in and pretty much read from his report. So that he has said, my report is my testimony, and so that he's not going to go outside the lines. I think they've probably gotten as much from Mueller as they're going to get. It's kind of a blood from a turnip situation. He says that he's done.
Rachel, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Rachel Sutherland, Fox News Radio, exclusively on KIDO Talk Radio. Let's go to Hank in Boise. Hank, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning. I would say that the Brookings thing is not exactly accurate. It has more to do with the incentives that Virginia gave to Micron to move there in terms of taxes and other incentives that Virginia gave. For a state that claims to be conservative or red state, we have higher than average taxation in this state. And our property taxes and our income taxes are, in overall tax situation is actually not as favorable as several other different states. In other words, it's poor compared, let's say, to Texas or to Florida or to other states in terms of practice business. And I also think that we've all money. There's never enough money to basically fund education. I think that the public education is like a boondoggle. It goes back to 80 years ago when a liberal Democrat commented that you can never give education enough money. The State Board of Education that we've got right now is like an influence peddling thing. I mean, one of the most standing influence peddlers ever was Blake Hall when he was on the State Board of Education. Money and corruption follow where the money goes, taxpayers' money goes. The education is by far the number one, and that's where most of the corruption in the state of Idaho is, in education. And the only way, there's going to be two reforms that has to be done eventually. One, they have to eliminate the student loan progress. If there's a middleman between the buyer and the user of the colleges or the students in the state, it's the government, and it's because it allows the colleges and universities to play empire building and inflate their costs without regard to economic realities. Why should University of Idaho have campuses down here, or ISU have campuses over here? I mean, this is typical empire building, education empire building.
Well, great point, Hank. Thank you for the call. Kevin Miller in the morning on your home for Hannity, KIDO Talk Radio. So here we go. We've got Amazon possibly taking over your phones. Are you down with that? We'll talk about that coming up. If you missed it, here it is.
Amazon has apparently expressed interest in buying Boost Mobile from Sprint. The sale's been discussed as a way to satisfy regulators who are considering Sprint's merger with T-Mobile. Reuters says sources close to the talk say a deal would also allow Amazon to use T-Mobile's wireless network for at least 6 years. Amazon already offers phone calls through its Echo Connect service, which uses your home phone service and an Alexa device. None of the parties is confirming Reuters' report. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
Now, this is strange. Why would anybody continue to empower Amazon? I know they have great deals. I know it's wonderful. It's convenient. And now they're down to 1 day shipping. And speaking of shipping, can you imagine the world without UPS, without FedEx, without those people that we depend on so much to deliver our packages? Well, Amazon is getting into the packaging business. Do you want them controlling your phone? I mean, sooner or later, don't we have to determine what is and isn't acceptable when it comes to these major corporations? How many times do we look on our screens, do we look on our phones, and there's an ad of something that we thought about? Maybe it's a watch. Maybe you feel antiquated and you like watches. You like to wear watches instead of looking on your phone or tapping the phone, and it can tell you your heart rate and it can tell you everything else. You know, didn't we just take a look at the Echo device for kids and how the government now is hearing complaints that they're getting data on your kids and their likes and their wishes? Oh, it's all harmless. It's all to make sure that we enhance the buying experience. Sure it is. How much are we willing? How much are you willing to share? And by the way, there is hope for America. And it's in the young people. Generation Z, or the plurals, there's a new term. It's called the joy of missing out. We'll tell you about it next on your home for Fox News in the Treasure Valley, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.